Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki. Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Stotara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, BBT founder Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Senapati Bhakta Srila Prabhupada ki, Mantra Upasaka Srila Prabhupada ki, Preeminent Shiksha Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki. Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Stotara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki. Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Mayapur Dham ki, Ganga Maya ki, Yamuna Maya ki, Tulsi Maharani ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Samavyata Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 13, entitled the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. Text number 5. You can repeat after me. Yas ta devarshina tatra varnita bhagavat kata mayam shushushave brahman karsneyana chastum arhasi yastha devarshina tatra yastha devarshina tatra varnita bhagavat kata mayam shushushave brahman karsneya chastum arhasi yastha devarshina tatra varnita bhagavat kata mayam shushushave brahman karsne nachastum arhasi yastha devarshina tatra varnita bhagavat kata mayam shushushave brahman karsnena chastum arhasi yastha devarshina tatra varnita bhagavat kata mayam shushushave brahman karsnena chastum arhasi yastha devarshina tatra varnita bhagavat kata mayam shushushave brahman karsnena chastum arhasi yastha devarshina tatra varnita bhagavat kata mayam shushushave brahman karsnena chastum arhasi ya which ta all those Devarshina by the great sage Narada tatra there varnita narrated Bhagavat Katha preachings pertaining to the activities of the Lord. Mayam unto me, Shru Shave, very eager to hear. Brahman, my dear Brahmana, Karsnena, fully, Achastum Adhasi, kindly explain. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki. My dear Brahmana, how did Narada Muni glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And what pastimes were described in that meeting? I am very eager to hear of them. Kindly explain fully about the glorification of the Lord. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is the record of Bhagavat Katha, topics about the pastimes of the Lord. What Vidur was anxious to hear from Maitreya, we can also hear 5,000 years later, provided we are very eager. And that's the end of the purport. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yana Bhutale Swayam Rupa Khada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The translation again. My dear Brahmana, how did Narada Muni glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And what pastimes were described in that meeting? I am very eager to hear of them. Kindly explain fully about the glorification of the Lord. So today's class has a very short purport, and short purport means short class. I'll attempt to speak as little as possible. Now people think that having a long purport, it's difficult to give a class. But when the purport is very, very short, it's also difficult to give a class. The first line of the purport, Prabhupada mentioned Srimad Bhagavatam, the words Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the final work of Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is the author and compiler of the Vedas. The Srimad Bhagavatam represents all Vedic literatures because it contains the essence and the purpose of the Vedas, which is to leave the material world, awaken our dormant love of God, and to continuously improve that relationship with the Lord. The Bhagavat Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam, gives us different accounts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the accounts of the Lord's devotees and their interactions. In that way, we can become inspired to take up this confidential practice of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says in the purport that this information was given 5,000 years ago. We are now receiving 5,000 years later the same information that made Maitreya and Vidur perfect, and Shukadev and Parikshit Maharaj perfect, is now being given to us by Srila Prabhupada so that we can become perfect. In the previous class that I gave, I was mentioning how Srimad Bhagavatam represents all the Vedic literatures. It's understood according to our Sampradaya that Srimad Bhagavatam is the author's natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. The Vedanta Sutra is accepted by learned persons as the most important philosophical literature of Vedic culture. The word sutra means summary, and the word Vedanta means the conclusion of the Vedas, or the conclusion of knowledge. Veda means knowledge. That means all Vedic literatures, the Sama, Atharva, Rig, and Yajur Veda, the four Vedas, the Puranas, the Itihasas, the Samhitas, the Upanishads, which comprise of the fifth Veda, which is explained in the first canto. Are all meant to prep you for the Vedanta Sutra. And by understanding the Vedanta Sutra, you are meant to come to the conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you as the Jiva, the individual soul, is the servant of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nitya Das. Shri Shri Radha Radhana Ki. There are 2 points to take in regarding the Vedic literatures. The first one is that the Vedic literatures are there to bring you to the transcendental platform and make you Krishna conscious. The second point is that all the Vedic literatures are meant to make you Krishna conscious. Then it means that the Vedas themselves can't be material in any capacity. They are on the spiritual platform. This is evident in the 10th canto or in Krishna book, the chapter Prayers by the Vedas personified. There it is described that in the causal ocean, the Pradhan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the form of Mahavishnu, is lying on that ocean, appearing to be asleep. After an inconceivable amount of time, inconceivable because time is practically non-existent, there the Vedas personified began offering prayers to the Lord. The Vedas personified are the Brahmana devotees of the Lord. They pray, glorify, and awaken the Lord so that He can cast His merciful glance. And the Lord, Mahavishnu, in response, squints his eyes and glances over the causal ocean. In that way, He activates the material nature. The clear point in this regard is that the Vedas existed before the material creation. And in turn, the rules, the regulations, the principles, and etiquette and the processes in the Vedas existed before the manifestation of the material world. The Vedas are completely spiritual. Then a question may be raised, what about these descriptions that are unrelated to bhakti, like Ashtanga Yoga, which is the eightfold processes of meditation, Karma Kanda, where all kinds of rituals and fire sacrifices are described. How can these things be spiritual if, according to our experience, these practices bring material prosperity? The reason for this is found in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto. There it is described that Vyasadeva was in his ashram engaged in yoga meditation when he suddenly envisioned the future and the situation of Kali Yuga. There he saw the residents of Kali Yuga were always in a state of suffering and perpetual disturbance because of godlessness. When Vyasadeva's meditation broke, he had this feeling of compassion. Vyasadeva wanted to help the residents of Kali Yuga who was suffering. This was when he became inspired to put the entirety of the Vedic knowledge into a physical written form. Prior to Vyasadeva's compilation of the Vedas had always been transmitted verbally. The people of the previous ages could remember whatever they heard, even if they only heard it once. But now Vyasadeva is turning the Vedas into a written work to help mankind who will be lost in this age. But Vyasadeva compiles the Vedas in such a way that bhakti or Krishna consciousness is not the central goal of the Vedas. Instead, the Vedas is written in a way for the residents of Kali Yuga to relieve themselves from their suffering. Just like a person who is starving, he is feeling the pain of hunger, and to relieve himself from that pain, he has to eat. Once he eats, he starts to feel happy. But in actuality, it is only a temporary relief from suffering, because he's going to become hungry again. He's going to suffer again. Then he has to eat again and relive and relieve his suffering by eating, and the cycle continues. In the same way, the Vedas was written in such a way as to relieve the people of Kali Yuga from suffering through sense gratification. People start to think that this sense gratification is happiness, but in actuality, it's a temporary relief from suffering. Vyasadeva was feeling discontent, even though he underwent a large project. He could not figure out what was missing in his works. That is when his spiritual master appeared, Narada Muni. Narada Muni revealed to Vyasadeva what was missing in his compilation of the Vedic literatures, and that he did not glorify the Lord and his devotees sufficiently. The Supreme Personality of Godhead may be mentioned here and there and everywhere in the Vedas, but the Supreme Lord is not the center of attention. Because the Lord is not the center of attention, Bhakti Yoga became hidden, and the purpose of the Vedas became obscured. You can question why Vyasadeva decided to reveal material prosperity in the Vedas instead of Krishna consciousness. Maybe, and just maybe, he thought that the people of Kali Yuga were just too stupid to take to Krishna consciousness. And it's true. People didn't know how to surrender to Krishna in Kali Yuga. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared as his own devotee to teach the devotees how to be a devotee of Krishna by his own actions. Vyasadeva, after being corrected by his spiritual master, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is fully dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the final work that Vyasadeva had put out. Vyasadeva did not backtrack and correct his other works. The purpose of the Vedas is still obscured, and Bhakti Yoga is still hidden, and Krishna is still not the center of attention in the Vedas. If you read the Vedic literatures, you'll be able to see from the perspective of a materialist seeking sense gratification. But if you study Srimad Bhagavatam, then come in contact with other Vedic literatures, you'll be able to see Krishna consciousness in everything. For example, if you discovered Radha and Krishna from any other Vedic literature, all you'll be able to see is a romantic interaction of a boy and a girl. But if you receive Srimad Bhagavatam from the bona fide representative of the Lord, one's understanding of Radha and Krishna goes beyond the scope of any selfish, motivated, mundane activity. Such persons who take Radha and Krishna as mundane do not know how many offenses they've committed and how many obstacles they have to overcome in order to re-establish their relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Krishna is the center of everything, everything is transcendental. Prabhupada made the statement, Krishna plus everything is Vrindavan. Likewise, when Krishna is removed, everything that is spiritual becomes material. The nature of spirituality is Satchidananda, eternity, knowledge and bliss. And the material nature, which is the perverted reflection of the spiritual world, will have qualities that is the opposite of Satchidananda, eternity, knowledge and bliss. The opposite of eternity is temporary. The opposite of knowledge is speculation. And the opposite of bliss is suffering. Because of Vyasadeva's mistake, our understanding of the Vedas is very mundane. The purpose of the Vedas is not to give you material benefits. It has always been about one thing, and that is Bhakti Yoga, the continuous deepening of our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why in Srimad Bhagavatam we see many pastimes where we see devotees of the Lord engaged in so-called material activity, but are still able to please the Lord. Dhruva Maharaj engaged himself in Ashtanga Yoga and was able to please the Lord in 6 months. Prithu Maharaj performed 99 horse sacrifices and was able to please the Lord Daksha of all people. His service to the Lord is to increase the population of the universe. That means he was engaged in sex life. But all of Daksha's sons went back home, back to Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam is described as the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. At the end of the Bhagavatam, when Krishna leaves the material world and Kali Yuga officially begins, it's described that Bhagavatam is like the rising sun giving light to the darkness of this age. Srimad Bhagavatam is also called Amala, is also called the Amala Puran. Amala means spotless. The spotless Puran. In this context, spotless means no mistakes. Srimad Bhagavatam has no mistakes. I'll stop over here. Any questions or comments? Srimad Bhagavatam ke? Srila Prabhupada ke?